You cannot just throw a digital solution in the middle of a journey that you don't have an understanding of. So there has to be a very in-depth understanding of this journey before you can put technology in there.
So hello and welcome everybody to a whole new episode of Engati CX. I'm your host Rahul, and today you folks are again, as usual, for a treat because you're in Engati CX, so expect that. But we've got a consumer experience expert with us on the show today. And who you ask, so we have the pleasure of welcoming Mandisa Makubalo to our interview series. Before we jump into all that awesomeness and make you guys meet with the audience, let's just begin with a quick introduction of Engati. Engati is the world's leading multilingual no-code chatbot platform available across 14 channels with 30,000 bots created across 186 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has also been recognized as a top platform by Inc.com, TechWorld, CIO, and many others. We run the Engati blog, the video channel, and the Engati CX podcast, receiving upwards of 300,000 visitors annually. And now for our guest. Mandisa Makubalo is a well-seasoned, highly professional business leader and the founder of Unlimited Experiences SA, a consultancy with a focus on optimizing customer experience management through change management and business continuity planning. With over 15 years of experience in customer environments in industries ranging from petrochemical all the way to telecom and retail, she has taken these industries to new heights. She's passionate about strategy design with a focus on solving business challenges and is a member of the Cape Town CXPA network and a judge for the 2020 CX Award. So welcome to the show, Mandisa. It's such an honor to have you on board.
Thank you very much. It's actually an honor for me to be in this platform today.
Appreciate that. So Mandisa, jumping straight up to the first question that I have for you. What is a virtual customer environment and how does it affect a company's customer experience strategies?
Okay, so a virtual customer environment, it's really maybe a newer version or latest version of what traditionally used to be called a customer focus group. Because companies would traditionally have focus groups and there'll be an intention or a goal behind that. It'll either be to get customer insights, to build customer relationships, or to maybe get customers part of their design process as a brand. Yeah. So virtual customer environments, I think more so not because we're dealing in a time of COVID-19, it's really needed because you can't have those human interactions like we had before.
Right.
So it's really a space where a company tries to co-innovate by inviting their customers into those sessions. And it's a web-based conversation. And it could be at any stage of the product design process. It could be in the ideation stage, it could be in the design stage or the implementation stage. But it's really, the intention is to co-innovate with customers. And it's purely focused on the product with the product and getting it out to the market. But it's really about the design. So if you look at the very nature of a customer experience strategy, let's look at strategy. So strategy is about taking an organization on a journey. That's the reason behind the strategy. And then you look at customer experience strategy. And what that really says is how do we want our customers to feel as they engage with us as a brand?
Right.
And if you look at what the objective is, or the people that are involved, or the stakeholders involved in the virtual customer environment, the customer is represented there because you're getting them to co-innovate with you as a brand. And the customer experience strategy is about how do we make these people feel. So you can never make someone feel a specific way if you don't have a relationship with them. So the innovation that happens in those virtual customer environments is an output that flows from a customer experience strategy. So it's really a touch point in a very complex customer experience strategy and a customer journey. So it is part of what will happen when a company has a customer experience strategy because you take into account the technology, and digital, and how are you going to enable conversations. So it comes in perfectly in terms of you trying to achieve your strategic goals as a company from a customer's perspective.
Right. So it's more about bringing the customers' visions on board too, and like maybe merging the company and customer visions to kind of create something very tailored towards customers that gives them an exclusive.
So you look at the customer's ambitions, you look at your ambitions as a brand, and you
Right.
bring in those two together. And what that will help is there are so many overheads that companies incur as a result of them not engaging and including their customers in the design. So
Right.
it's critical that you get them involved in that process because at the end of the day, they're going to have to spend their money with you. So
Absolutely.
it's got to be something that, and it's beautiful to actually say as a company that we're not going to come up with solutions for you as a customer. We want you want you as part of this journey, and let us co-create together. Let us co-innovate together.
Absolutely. And that's a beautiful way to think about it too, because who better to know their problems better than the customers, right? I mean, who better to solve it?
Yes,
And, that's the perfect combination right there. And it's interesting for
yes.
you to be speaking about, design uh, and the whole aspect of those things. So, my next question to you will be, how should companies go about solving business challenges through design, especially in the area of customer experience management?
So, I'm based in South Africa, in Cape Town, and
Mhm.
what I have seen, and most of the times, actually frightens me because I think nobody saw COVID-19 coming, and as a result of that, a lot of companies are trying to keep themselves going, and there's been a lot of knee-jerk reaction to COVID-19, where
Right.
companies are now introducing things without design taking place.
Right.
Everybody has, for some reason, not for some reason, but as a result of COVID-19, it has brought a lot of business challenges to companies. But that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that design is not needed.
Right.
So if you look at the process of customer strategy design, you look at your purpose as a business, you look at your ambitions as a business, you look at your customers' ambitions, and then you look at what are the customer principles that we need to have in place for us to deliver on those ambitions. And then you get to designing the desired customer experience. So design is critical because what happens is in the absence of design, you will end up solving problems not from an end-to-end perspective, but you're going to be solving problems in an absence of having a very holistic view of the entire process and the entire journey. And then you end up spending money. You're going to have to put out fires in the long term because design is not there. So, what design forces you to do as a brand is that let us look at things from an end to end perspective. Let us look at what is our business challenge, and in this customer journey that we have on our strategy, where exactly is this challenge? Is it affecting the entire value chain or the entire journey? Or is it just affecting certain pieces or points of this journey? And then you are able to narrow down the exact challenge because what you might perceive as a challenge as a brand might not be a customer challenge. But through design and very thorough design and very well planned design, you are able to save yourself so much money as a brand, and you are able to design something that your customers are going to spend their money and
Mhm.
actually just, we want to come back and buy more because you've taken an entire different approach and a holistic approach to design.
Right. Which makes sense because as they say, a product without design, is just that's the difference between like an abstract thought and a well-designed solution. That's
Yes,
design
yes,
is in the middle, and that's what differentiates great products and just products maybe. And
yes, definitely.
yeah, makes sense. So, taking the conversation to something that's really trending these days, especially after the pandemic, conversational automation. So, how helpful would technologies like these, like conversational automation and voice recognition interactions, be in virtual customer environments in that perspective of things? So, how helpful will these be?
Um, I think my very first response to that is that technology is intended, it can't just be about just digitizing things and having automation of processes and conversations.
Mhm.
I think it goes back to the fact that when you look at the whole design, it starts with the customer journey. So
Right.
at the beginning, you start looking at the customer's journey,
Mhm.
you design processes for you to be able to bring or implement that journey. And then once you've done that, then you add technology. So technology should then be an enabler It
Right.
should be able. So if you're looking at conversational automation and voice recognition interactions, what it should do, it should be an expansion of what your value proposition, and it should be to give customers a greater choice.
Right.
So it's very important, more so in virtual customer environments. It should not be seen as a beat and end all, but it should be able to give me as a customer greater choice. So if I don't want to be waiting on a queue to speak to an agent, I should know that there's a chatbot or there's some conversational automation that is available for me. Then I can do things in the comfort of my home, and I can take my own time than to be forced into a channel that is not maybe conducive for me as a customer. So my take on that is that it should always be about giving customer a greater choice. And at the same time, it should always be just not about just throwing things at customers, but it should be from an end-to-end perspective and really having to capture the customer's needs and what the customers are looking for. I'll give you a typical example. I mean, we're using Zoom today for our meeting, which is
Right.
another digital solution. But I know on Monday there was a problem where globally it crashed.
Yes, it
So
did.
what's the backup to that? I know in South Africa, our universities and higher education institutions are studying online and they use Zoom, but nothing could happen on that day because of the crash.
Mm.
The technology that had crashed. But what's the backup to that? So that's why I'm saying that it should be to give customers a greater choice, but you can never negate the fact that there's always going to be a reason for or customers that prefer a human interaction to speak to an actual person.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I absolutely agree to that. I mean, it's all a part of, making the customer journey a little bit more comfortable for the customer. At the end, it all ties down
Yes,
to the customer and how he is feeling.
yes,
Absolutely. And and especially in times like these, it's very frustrating when you have to wait for longer periods, and and then get
yes,
to an associate. That is when these technologies come into play. Absolutely agree with
yes.
that. Right. So well, now that we're talking about enhancing customer experience and that journey part of things, so how will having the right technology based system enhance the customer experience, and do you believe that it will help companies improve both their innovation and customer relationship management capabilities?
It definitely will.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I think it goes back to my response. You touched on some of the responses applicable to this question that you're asking me now. Like I said, it should be an extension of your value proposition to give your customers a greater choice.
Mhm.
And you should also ask yourself as a business, what is compelling this need to introduce technology?
Right.
Is it because you see a competitor that's come on board with this fantastic app or technology?
Mm.
That's why you're going on this bandwagon and you're just jumping on board, introducing a technology, but you have little comprehension of the impact it's going to have on your customers, on your value proposition, on your strategy.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, if a company does not go through a process of customer journey mapping, designing your customer personas, then going through the mapping process, designing your business processes, then putting technology on top of that is what is needed. A lot
Right.
of the times you find that, especially these tech savvy companies, it will always start with technology and then the customer is put in the picture. But
Right.
it should not be like that.
Mm.
There should be a very clear picture of this customer,
Mm.
and then you map out the entire journey that this customer walks with you as a brand, and then you put your business processes on top of that, and then you would have a very clear understanding of the technology that is needed to support that and enable that entire journey. So definitely we cannot run away from the fact that more so now again with COVID-19, I know myself that I don't like going to the bank. I hate standing in queues. I would love to do things online. It works for
Right.
me. But I have family members that still believe in going to the bank and speaking to a person face to face. So again, I'm going to say that it should be to give a customer a greater choice
Hmm.
than to really just say we are moving everything to a digital platform, because
Correct.
that simply means that you haven't unpacked the nuances of your customers. You haven't looked at your customers, because some of them are not so tech savvy. They
Right.
would prefer the traditional way of doing things.
Mhm. Absolutely, because hey, we've been doing this show for a while now, and we've been speaking to
Yes,
people all over the world, and everybody has that one opinion that it has to be the customer in the center, and then the technology revolving around the customer, not the
yes,
other way, right? And it's
yes,
interesting how you took the example of taking a bank, because earlier this week we did a webinar on digital transformation. We had David Avrin come aboard and talking about this, and it's interesting how sometimes you really do need things quick. But again,
yes,
the message over there was also that it has to enable and make life easier for the customer, not the other way.
yes, yes,
Exactly.
yes.
Got it. Got it. Amazing. Well, hey, Mandisa, this has been a great conversation, and so many insights were there, and this was fantastic. So, before we close out, are there any other thoughts that you'd like to leave our audience with today?
Yes, I have. I do have. I think I have about two.
Hmm.
So, the first thing is that a company cannot just get there by making things digital. It has to be about helping the customer achieve their customer goals,
Hmm.
and it has to be about solving a specific problem.
Right.
So what are you solving? What problem? Are you quite clear on what are you solving as a problem through you moving into this digital space? And then thirdly, it has to be from an end-to-end perspective. So
Right.
you cannot just throw a digital solution in the middle of a journey that you don't have an understanding of. So
Hmm.
there has to be a very in-depth understanding of this journey before you can put technology in there. So, to companies that are spending money on apps and software and all of those things, I think the first thing that you need to understand, what are you helping customers achieve their goals?
Hmm.
And are you doing this from an end-to-end perspective? And at the same time, what problem are you trying to solve for your customer through the introduction of whatever digital solution you are introducing into your business?
Hmm.
And then finally, I think digital is brilliant. It is brilliant. What I have seen in South Africa, more so with these upcoming tech companies, the customer is always left out. There's always talk about technology, technology. The focus is on the technology, but there's nobody that talks about the customer.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it goes back to what I said, is that are you really helping customers achieve their goals? And if that is what you are doing, then by all means, you can go ahead and introduce technology into your business.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we believe at Engati too. It's about empowering the customer and not just throwing technology to their
Yes,
face. I mean, then what's the
yes,
point? Right?
yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Right. And that was great. And the conversation was pure quality, Mandisa. And we cannot thank you enough for giving us
Yes,
your time, and your insights were awesome. And the audience are
no
going to really
problem.
love your interview. Hey, Mandisa, if anybody from the audience want to reach you, how can they reach you?
Okay, we have our website, which is www.theunlimitedco.com.
Mhm.
I am quite active on LinkedIn. It's Mandisa, Mandisa. And my surname Makubalo, Makubalo. And then we're also quite active on Instagram. We have our Instagram handle. It's THE_UNLIMITED _CO. So it's the_unlimited_CO. And we share a lot of content, especially on LinkedIn and on Instagram. We have a couple of IGTVs where we shoot videos and we share content. And we're soon going to be launching our own YouTube channel
Mm.
where it's going to be called All Things Customer, and just really working with the customer. And it's about not about selling our brand, but it's really about just immersing ourselves in the shoes and in the customer's world.
Absolutely. So there you have it, guys. All the socials will be mentioned in the description too. So go check that out. Also, as I mentioned earlier, we did a webinar and that's some awesome stuff there. So you could check out the YouTube channel to find that there. And we'll be back again with a new episode and a brand new expert soon. So stay tuned and we'll see you around for the next one. Thank you so much, Mandisa.
Thank you so much. Thank you.